Okay. That was a humbling afternoon. Before I get to the game, um, which is I don't even have the words to describe this game. I will though in a few minutes. As we're waiting for people to get here from their television sets, let me first say happy Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day to everyone out there. Um, I hope, obviously we're all sitting here disappointed about the result of a basketball game. Try to keep things in perspective. I don't really know what to say about Dr. King other than that he is the most important person that this country has probably ever known. Um, very thankful he existed. Um, very thankful that because of his efforts and um, how much he strived in the face of just unconscionable adversity. He, because of everything he did, gets has an impact or had an impact that still, makes someone like me have to sit and be aware and accountable for their white privilege every day. Um, I wish his impact was felt even more. Uh, wish he was still here. Um, you know, wish the world were a better place. But I hope everybody, takes a second today and just thinks about the man and what he stood for and what he died for, and maybe thinks of, I don't know, something they could do to honor him, honor his memory, and try to do something to make the world a slightly better place, because God knows it needs it. All right, let's talk about a basketball game that has a final score of 97-87, which of course is not indicative of the game that was played. I've been thinking for the last 10, 15 minutes about how to put this game into the right words. Because it was like, there are ass kickings and then there are ass kickings. And like, yes, I know they were down by 23 at one point and they were down by, you know, close to 20 points for the large majority of this game. Um, but this game was, this is going to sound crazy. This game was there for them to take. It was a golden opportunity with LaMelo Ball on the sidelines. The Hornets are a gifted offensive team. You saw that at certain points today. Um, I'm going to speak about the defense in a bit, but like, did the Hornets let up a little bit? And is that why they only scored 97 points? Yes, a little bit. At the same time, the Knicks did clean up their defense at some point. It was too little too late. And that gets into the issues that they had on offense. I mean, there are losses that make you angry. There are losses that you're like, we go back and we live to see another day. There are losses that you're actually proud of the effort. And then there are frustrating losses. And I think a lot of the losses that they've had this season have made me either angry or sad. This loss has left me very frustrated because, again, it was a huge game and they did not show up with the poise, with the crispness, with the execution necessary to win the game. And I mean, you could simplify all of what I'm saying and all of this whole diatribe with like they just didn't play well. And like, yes, they didn't play well. And I understand that ultimately that's what it comes down to. And look, they're a mediocre team. Mediocre teams are going to play mediocre to poor basketball at times, just as much as they're going to play mediocre to good basketball at times. The Knicks have played mediocre to good basketball for a little while now. Today they played mediocre to poor basketball. And that included everything under the sun. That included not making shots. I know they ended up hitting 12 of 34 from long range. They didn't hit threes when it mattered. They were pretty atrocious around the basket at both ends in terms of finishing plays where they got any penetration, and in terms of grabbing rebounds on the defensive end as opposed to hitting it out of bounds. I lost count of the amount of balls that went off Nick fingertips and retained possession with Charlotte. As Mike Breen pointed to several times throughout the broadcast, just, not playing up enough on these guys. But at the same time, why weren't they playing up on these guys enough? Because um, Charlotte, you know, players were penetrating left and right early on in this game. And the Knicks starters on defense, I did not think came out with, again, I'll use the same words, a level of crispness, a level of execution, a level of like staying grounded that they needed to. And they cleaned it up a little bit in the second quarter, and they cleaned it up, I think, a lot in the third quarter. I thought they came out better in the third quarter for sure. And then, the Hornets just, made some tough shots there, and the damage was done. I mean, you cannot allow a player to come into your building and score whatever the fuck Miles Bridges scored in the first quarter. That's where he did his damage. I know he ended up with 38 points for the game. It was the first quarter. Miles Bridges came out in the first quarter and said, "I'm going to win us this basketball game," and the Knicks let him. And really, if that's going to be the headline in your AP write ups tomorrow and your ESPN write up tomorrow, and that's honestly what all that needs to be said. One guy came out and was like, "I'm going to win us this game," and the Knicks let him because they didn't have anyone to stop him. Julius Randle, God love him, he's been playing better basketball of late. I'm not even going to put this loss on Julius, but that was your matchup, and you got eaten. You got absolutely eaten the fuck alive. And they tried putting bigs on him. It didn't work. I would have loved to see RJ take a stab at him early on. They obviously wanted RJ, I think, on Gordon Hayward, which, whatever. Gordon's, you could argue that Gordon's their biggest offensive threat, so it is what it is. Just a frustrating loss. I really don't know how many ways I could say it. It was a frustrating fucking loss. And it was a reminder that, like, for all of us have been getting hyped up about, like, hey, maybe this team still has a run at the 6th seed in them, or let's go get that, home play-in game. Like, this is still a mediocre team, and they're still capable of these performances. And the one thing I haven't really talked about yet is, oh, by the way, we only scored 87 points tonight. Why do we only score 87 points tonight? Because they lack a certain amount of skill on the offensive end of the floor. And if teams are going to play the Knicks in his own and play Barrett to go right, if he wants to go right, dare guys to hit shots against them, which they were obviously daring Julius Randle to do all night. He was obliging them, and he ended up going to 3 of 7 from deep, which is not bad. But like, that takes the Knicks out of their offense. The Hornets did a great job today of taking away all the stuff that they know the Knicks want to do to get into their comfort zone. And they said, we're not going to let you get into your comfort zone. We are going to play you such that if you're going to beat us in the ways that you're usually uncomfortable beating or trying to beat teams, taking any 3-point shot when it's available to them, not part of the Knicks comfort zone, at least not lately. The Knicks get there. Let me just be very specific here, and then I'm going to get to the super chat because this is the last thing I really want to say. The Knicks take a lot of threes. It's not that the Knicks aren't comfortable taking threes, but the Knicks take their threes based off of dribble penetration and Julius Randle backing down, drawing the second body, and then kicking out. Those are the threes the Knicks like to take. Or with certain personnel, they like to take off the dribble threes. If you're talking about Quickly or Kemba, if we ever see him again, which I don't think we will. Hornets said, we're not going to let you take those threes. If you want to take threes with, our guy a couple feet off of you, basically the threes that the Knicks were allowing the Hornets to take. If you want to take those threes, take those threes. The Knicks are not, those aren't the threes they want to take. It's not in the flow of their offense. Again, they like penetration. And they were allowing Barrett to penetrate early, but they're like, we're going to allow you to penetrate, but if you're going to hit those shots, you're going to hit those shots, and we're going to live with it, and you didn't hit the shots. Again, I feel like I'm spinning my wheels here. I should probably say a couple good things before I get to the super chat. I thought Mitchell Robinson played a really nice game. His effort level was really good, but they had to find a way to take more advantage of Mitchell Robinson's presence out there with Miles. And Miles Plumlee's an underrated center. I don't mean to disparage him. He's a good center. He could make plays on the short roll. But Mitch still had some nice moments, should have had more nice moments. The move he put on was obviously the highlight of the game. I don't really have much great to say about anybody else. Obi obviously had some moments. Very nice to see. If anybody's going to try to be like, oh, they should have played Obi more and it would have changed the outcome of this game, I'm not going to be here for that. I'm telling you right now. He was getting owned on defense in the first half, just like everybody was. Um, you know, yeah, Grimes brought some nice energy. I mean, I don't know what compliments I'm supposed to give here. I don't have many. On that note, let's get to the super chat. Haitian Ferg with our first comment, and it's a comment that I like. Our lack of a point guard gets exposed every time we play a sound defensive team. Here's the thing, though: the Hornets are one of the 3 or 4 worst defensive teams in basketball. They're not a good defensive team, and they just came in with a game plan, and the game plan was, "Hey, you guys don't have a point guard. We're going to make you beat us in the ways that you don't want to beat us," and it showed. And this is a game where the Knicks needed a point guard. Another trade needs to happen to bring in a point guard that can break down defenses and distribute. I mean, they have a guy that can break down defenses in Derrick Rose. He'll be back, and that'll be a big help. You know, you're going to hear a lot of Jalen Brunson news and rumors from now until they trade for him or until they try to acquire him in the offseason. There's a reason they're going to be in on him. He doesn't present the defensive issues that Kemba does, and he's more comfortable playing off the ball when that's going to be more of his role. Yes, they need that player. Absolutely. Because they don't have that player right now. Okay. Of course, Super Chat is already acting up on me. Okay. Keeping it moving along. D Black. I know the Knicks are honoring MLK today, but non-violent resistance is, I can't help but laugh at this, but non-violent resistance doesn't extend to the basketball court. Yeah, I mean, Breen said it at the end of the game. There was a lack of physicality. And I didn't phrase it that way, but yes, there was a lack of physicality. I mean, and that's the thing, like, they have shown that at times this year, but of all the things that you could point to, and again, we're talking about a team that here's the crazy part: their defensive rating is going to go down today. It's going to get even better since the first 6 games of the season where they just weren't trying on defense. Like they've been a borderline top 10 defense, but their lack of physicality is the difference between being, a borderline top 10 defense and being one of the 3 or 4 best defenses in basketball, where your identity is your defense. Their identity is not their defense. They can play sound defense, and they usually do play sound defense. I thought tonight, even for the most part, like that's the part where I keep going back to that word, frustrating. The defense was sound in principle in like where they were and what they were doing and like helping, and for the most part, but it wasn't physical. Like they weren't getting into guys, and that's a little bit of a personnel issue too. RJ's not. I mean, I know he's built like he's built. He's not a physical defender. Fournier's not a physical defender. Julius Randle he was burnt chicken today. They're missing that edge, and it showed. Hush Zoo, just out talented, outclassed. Miles Bridges just showed he's a better, most improved player than Jew. Had a sad game, but at least we have Cam coming soon. I mean, a couple comments on that. If you want to see Exhibit A of why the Knicks traded for Cam Reddish, just watch this game. Like, you need talent, you need skill. You need skill to win in the NBA. Cam Reddish is fucking atrocious at a lot of aspects of NBA basketball. Decision-making, in terms of how many mid-rangers he takes and off-ball stuff. He is not a great shooter above the break. But that dude has skill. I mean, you could argue that Cam Reddish has more skill than anyone on the Knicks, like right now. And that's not a crazy statement. Will it work out for him here? Will he figure out the other stuff that is going to allow him to, display his skill? I have no idea. But there's a reason that a team like the Knicks is going to take a chance on a guy like Cam Reddish, in addition to all the stuff that Jeremy and I talked about for today's pod. I actually am going to push back a little bit on the out-talented thing. I kind of think without LaMelo Ball, the talent level was about the same. And the Hornets just used their talent better than the Knicks. I'll say this. The Hornets had more top-end talent today. Like Gordon Hayward was better than anyone on the Knicks today. Miles Bridges obviously goes without saying that he was better than anybody on the Knicks today. And Terry Rozier did not have a good game. But like, even there were a couple moments in the first half where I thought Terry Rozier came up really big. Like he came up big when he needed to come up big. 4 of 11 from deep. You'll take that from Rozier any day of the week. 7 assists, 6 rebounds. 22 points. Like that. That's a good Rozier game. Yeah, outclassed. Outclassed. I'll agree with. Chris Carter, thanks for your contribution. Dom Cappuccini, what's going on, Dom? Always good to see you. Obviously, the defense wasn't much better, but most concerning, our offense is just so inconsistent that a weak defense just needs to turn on their zone and curtains. How wasn't the paint open? I mean, the paint wasn't open because they weren't letting the Knicks get into the paint. They were daring the Knicks to just fire away from deep when they got the ball. And more to the point, like they were swarming the Knicks ball handlers out towards the perimeter. And because the Knicks don't have a true point guard, like the Knicks had nothing to do with that. Like, here's the thing. You could swarm RJ Barrett from 35 feet out or 30 feet out. And like, look, RJ Barrett, I wrote all kinds of glowing shit about him today. But let's not pretend that there aren't still holes in RJ Barrett's game. And one of them is like, if a defense is going to put 2 on the ball and you're 30 or 32 or 35 feet out from the hoop, you have to figure out a way to like rocket that pass out quick and start the chain of dominoes where your team could benefit from that. And part of the issue there is that the Knicks, and I just praised him because he had a great game and he had a move that like is going to contradict the thing that I'm about to say. But like Mitchell Robinson is not like that is where your center needs to be able to grab the ball 18 feet from the hoop and make a play because no one's going to be around him because that's where the help is coming from. The help I would need to go back and watch it, but I'm pretty sure a lot of the help is coming from Plumlee, which is going to leave Mitch open. And you need to be able to toss the ball into your center and trust that guy is going to make a quick decision, make a quick play. And that's not a part of the Knicks offense. Now, he did something with the ball once today, and that was great to see. He's done it once in 3.5 years, but some of that's on RJ too. Like there were other outlets I'm sure that he could have made and he just didn't. So not a great RJ game by any stretch. But again, helps to have a point guard. Helps to have a point guard. CT Pittman, what's going on, CT? Always a pleasure. I get what you're saying, Macri. Thank you. Frustrating loss because this was a chance to make a statement and move up in the Eastern Conference standings after the way they played as of late. Shame on me. Egg on my face. Any other analogy you want to use? It was just announced, by the way, that wow. This is a surprise. RJ Barrett didn't win Player of the Week for the Eastern Conference, but neither did Joel Embiid. Darius Garland, Player of the Week for the East. Well, you know what? I'm going to say it. Good for Darius Garland. Darius Garland's been fucking awesome all year. He should make the All-Star team, and he's really good. So shout out to him. Anyway, back to CT's comment. Again, egg on my face. I thought they turned the corner. But like how big, I guess, in defense of myself, how big of a corner can you turn when you are still out-talented on a lot of nights or when the talent discrepancy is at least at best even? And you're still playing without a point guard. And I'll go one step further. You're still like in a perfect world, the Knicks wouldn't be still figuring things out 44 games into the season, but the Knicks are still figuring things out 44 games into the season. And that's because of, I don't need to go through all the reasons why they're still figuring things out 44 games into the season, but they're still figuring things out 44 games into the season. It seems like we've arrived at something that could maybe sort of work, which is that RJ initiates it, Julius like kind of does his thing that he does, but there will be games where, again, teams are able to play them out of that based on what the Knicks aren't comfortable doing on any given night. How do they counter that? Do they need to make yet another change to the starting lineup? Do they need to make another trade? I don't know. Maybe they put Rose into the starting lineup when he comes back. I keep going back to that in my head. I don't know if that's the answer, but it's It's something I keep wondering. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, frustrating, incredibly frustrating. Andrew's reminding me to remind you to get the likes up. The likes do help us get noticed and help us do what we do here. So um, thank you to everyone who can gently push your mouse pad to indicate that you are enjoying what you're watching. You don't know 2G. What guards are available via trade that can help us versus the zone defense? I mean, it's any guard that has a handle and can shoot. That's all you really need. And what guards are available via trade? That's a great question. And because I really am just looking for any excuse not to talk about this fucking game, I will give you some names, I guess. Um, Eric Gordon could help. I mean, I don't know that I want to pay whatever the price is that the Rockets want. But, Eric Gordon is like one of those. He's not a point guard, but he's a better initiator / ball handler than Alec Burks is. He's lighting it on fire from defense from long range this year. Eric Gordon's a guy that would help. What do they give up for Eric Gordon? I don't know that the Knicks should be in the Eric Gordon business this year. Eric Gordon to me is a guy like if you're a contender, go get Eric Gordon and call it a day. Other guards who are available via trade. I mean, Sacramento, are they going to make a trade? I don't know. I mean, I already mentioned Brunson. Brunson's the obvious one. Brunson's the guy that they want. Brunson probably wants to be here. Can they get him? I'm not gonna. I can only speculate on the Brunson trade conversation so much because I just don't know what. I just don't know what Dallas. I mean, does Dallas want to weaken their team this year? I don't know. I mean, Malcolm Brogdon is would be great, except they can't trade him. What? Oh. Yeah. That's really it. There's not a lot. Sorry. Okay. Let's keep it going. Chris Carter, thank you for your contribution, even though your message got redacted somehow. Andrew L. Chan. In the 2018 draft, I'm gonna like this comment. Steve Mills, Scott Perry took Kevin Knox at 9, and the next 5 picks were. Are you sitting down? Do you have a comfort animal near you? A stuffed animal, something? A comfort object? Mikal Bridges, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Miles Bridges, Jerome Robinson, the other miss, and Michael Porter Jr. Need to hit on your lotto picks. And like we don't need to talk about Frank, who was also like there were some good players taken after Frank Ntilikina. Donovan Mitchell and Bam Adebayo being 2 of them. Yeah, it's really tough as an organization to continually miss on the draft and survive it. But the thing is, like, you don't need to always get the best guy. You just need to not waste your pick. Like, I don't know, is RJ Barrett going to have a better career than Darius Garland? If you were a betting man right now, you'd probably bet that Garland was going to have the better career. I'm sure people will fucking go crazy that I said that. I don't really care. But like RJ Barrett's a really good player. RJ Barrett, based on what he's been doing and based on his everything, like that guy maybe can make an all-star team one day. Maybe he makes several all-star teams. I have no idea. What I do know is that RJ Barrett isn't a bust. RJ Barrett is going to help basketball teams win basketball games for a very, very long time. Even though he didn't necessarily do that today. You can't just swing and miss on your draft picks. And, like last year, they took Obi Toppin with the 8th overall pick. And, like, I haven't really mentioned Obi today because I don't really know what there is to say. He came in, he had a nice game. I'm like any Obi hate to me is displaced because we haven't seen Obi in an ideal role. We haven't seen Obi get the time he probably deserves. Like, it's not his fault. He got drafted to a team behind a guy who is going to go on to get MVP consideration. Like, so like I'm not saying Obi's a blown pick, but like, that remains to be seen if like they took the guy that could help them most. Yeah, it's really fucking frustrating. That Knox pick is like it's far worse than the Frank pick. It's the worst. It's easily the worst. It is the most. I said earlier, and a bunch of people gave me shit for it. I think I wrote earlier this year that like Frank was arguably the most detrimental pick in the history of the franchise. It's Knox without question. I mean, to get fucking nothing out of that guy with those players, and they just could have fucking thrown a dart and taken any of the other ones, and it would have been better. Shout out to Kevin Knox. Okay. Zolo J. We all know this, but watching this game just shows even more. We desperately need a point guard. We are so predictable on offense. Yeah, I mean, it's predictable because like you play to your strengths, and the more skill you have on the floor, the more strengths you have. And the Knicks don't have a lot of strength. So if you're able to take away one of their strengths or two of their strengths, you're in great position. Yes, but again, that's why they trade for Cam Reddish. That's why they're going to be in on Jalen Brunson. That's why they would have loved to get Fred VanVleet. That's why they would have given all of the money in the world to Chris Paul if he wanted to take it. Like, it's not that they're not trying. They are trying, but they haven't gotten that guy yet. I hope they get that guy soon. We'll see. Dono, how do I pronounce this? Dono Louis? Don't want to overreact. And I'm happy we haven't gotten a lot of overreactions yet tonight because we shouldn't overreact. It is one game. They have been playing very well. The thing I wanted to say earlier, and I don't think I said it explicitly, but like there were a lot of games this season where I finished watching the game and I'm like, oh my God, this season is fucking done. I may not have said it out loud, but I was secretly thinking like this team is trash. I don't feel that way at all after this game. It was a bad game, but I still think they're going to be okay. So yeah, it's good. I'm happy we're not overreacting. Anyway, as I finish reading this comment, which may be an overreaction, but how many games have gotten out of hand because of lack of in-game adjustment seems Tibbs' weak spot. Again, in-game adjustments are great if you have different things to go to. Like, what did you want the Knicks to go to? I'm genuinely asking. Like, what did you want the Knicks to go to? What could the Knicks do that they didn't do? Like, Miles Bridges was eating them alive in the first quarter, and the Hornets were getting whatever they wanted on offense. And the Knicks ended up, by the end of the game, holding them to far fewer points than they normally score. Is that an adjustment? I don't know. The Knicks, like, I thought their offense had there was a lot of good stuff that they did on offense. They just couldn't finish. Like, they were getting good looks, didn't finish. They got good threes, didn't finish. How many I lost count of the number of times where it's like they had a great opportunity and they just like fumbled it. Like the almost fast break where Quickly threw it to like Grimes and Obi at the same time, and neither of them got it and went out of bounds. Like, that sucked. The Fournier fucking missed dunk, that sucked. There were at least 3 or 4 other opportunities where it's like, oh, come on, guys, it's right there for you. And they didn't take advantage of it. That's not coaching. That's execution. So, again, I know I'm Mr. Thibodeau, but this isn't the game to get on Tibbs. Kane Marco, Take Mob General. It's a delicious whiskey I'm drinking, by the way. The Knicks can't win when the refs don't let them play physical defense. It takes them right out of the game. I haven't mentioned the refs today, and I should have. The refs were atrocious today. I thought – I'll give the Knicks some credit. I didn't even think the Knicks let the refs get in their heads. I actually thought the refs were really fucking the Knicks over, especially in the third quarter there. The Knicks tried to stay poised. But would the Knicks have won this game had it not been for the refs? No. The refs were not why they lost this game, but the refs were – I thought the whistle was atrocious tonight. But here's the thing. It wasn't a fair whistle because I thought the Hornets were allowed to be physical with the Knicks, and a lot of those calls weren't made. So, Yeah, but I also, again, I'm not going to blame the Knicks' early lack of physicality on the refs either. I think there was a happy medium there that they could have found. Good comment though. Sheldon Gomes. I wish RJ had attempted at least one shot from the mid range tonight. He had the space and opted for the pass out or difficult drives into traffic. Um, yeah, and I've mentioned it a few times this season, and I think I mentioned it a couple games ago. Um, he had obviously the nice mid ranger to help close out the Hawks the other night. That mid ranger is so important for him. It's so important for him because he just like he doesn't have the handle that he's going to be able to like get beat defenses a lot. But that mid ranger is always going to be there for him one way or another, even if it's not on dribble penetration, like if it's him catching and shooting, like. But he's not really comfortable with it, I think yet. Who is comfortable with the mid ranger is Emmanuel Quickly, and I love that he goes to that a lot. What kind of whiskey is Macri drinking? I should have brought the bottle over here. If my wife can hear me at some point, maybe she could go and retrieve the bottle because it is delicious. I got it from my cousin, who I think works for some company that distributes this. In any case, I'll get the bottle even if I have to get up and leave and come back before the end of the live stream. This is a quote from Mitchell Robinson, by the way. Nobody wants to lose. Plus, it's Tibbs' birthday, so I feel kind of bad. Yeah, happy birthday, Tibbs. Emil Bumansor. What's going on, Emil? Always appreciate you coming in here. My issue with this team at times is their mental toughness when things are not going their way. The refs and bad offense was clearly in their heads. Here's the only pushback I'll give on that. It's a good comment. I agree they don't have the mental toughness that they did last season. I thought they actually showed some mental toughness in the third quarter when I think they were. I thought they defended not good, but better and like good enough to win most games. And on offense, I thought they stayed engaged, and I didn't think they resorted to selfish offense in the third quarter, with one or two exceptions. But the mental toughness for me was just out of the gate. Like again, like I wish they would have treated this game like you know game whatever of a playoff series. Like and they haven't treated many games like that this year. It would have been nice if they treated this game like that this year. And the fact that they didn't, I think, is really what annoys me the most. So yeah. Um DDD 137. I love that name. I don't know why I love that name. People are mad at Randall, but not having caught the game, it seems like the main problem wasn't his offense or any defense, but the rest of the team shooting. When you hold the other team under 100, the problem is shooting. The only pushback I'll say, and I kind of said it at the beginning, is like if the Hornets needed to score more tonight, they would have scored more tonight. Randall on offense, I didn't have an issue. It's like you want your best player to take what the other team gives you, and he was taking what the other team gave him, which was 3-pointers, and he shot. I mean, I want to say he shot at least half of his shots tonight were from deep. I didn't have a problem with his shot selection tonight. I did think on defense there was not the, you know, we've seen Randall come out and it be personal for him on defense. And that has not happened enough this year. Goes without saying. Yeah, sorry. 7 of his 16 shots were from behind the arc. You can't like tonight was personal for Miles Bridges. I know that. It wasn't personal for Julius Randle. Like so, I'm here for a little criticism of Randle. Though Randle, I mean, we do have to acknowledge Randle was the guy guarding Miles Bridges for a lot of those early possessions. Jeremy E. RJ Barrett is allowed an off game during a matinee, putting up 18, 12, and 5. Yeah, 100%. If I made it seem like I was like putting the loss on RJ, I'm not putting the loss on RJ. He didn't have a great game, just like nobody had a great game. And he is allowed because he's been playing great and he's 21 years old. And yes, completely agree. It's a good comment. I just want to when there are things I see that I'm like, hey, it would be great if RJ got better at this thing. I say it. Continuing Jeremy's comment, unlike all the other players we compare him to, he's never played with a point guard. Yeah, that's a good comment. That's a good comment. He has never played with a real, true, great point guard. Unless you want to say Kemba or Rose. I mean, but again, he hasn't started games with Rose. He's played with Rose and he's looked good with Rose. I love RJ and Rose together. They play great together. What a shocker. And with Kemba, there were obviously a lot of issues there. So I don't, I agree with you basically. Like I'd love to see him with a solid starting point guard who can help unlock him and really complement him. And we have not seen that yet. Okay. I think. Oh no, hold on. We got one more. Delora, is that you? Oh no. I was gonna say tell my wife to get this bottle. I may get up and get the bottle because we're almost done. DDD137. I'll add to my other comment that means this is basically not worrying, in my opinion. I want you to get something from the cabinet. The one with the Japanese writing on it. It's right there. It's the tall bottle with the brown liquid in it. It's the only one with Japanese writing that we have. Thank you. Because people want to know what I'm drinking because I said it was good. So this is Dewar's Blended Scotch Whiskey Japanese Smooth Mizunara Oak Cast Finish, product of Scotland. Now, I have no idea how on the same label it could say Japanese Smooth and product of Scotland. Someone smarter than me can surely chime in on that. Aged 8 years. John Dewars, shout out to you. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted DDD's comment. He's not worrying. Bad shooting games happen and aren't indicative of deeper problems on their own, only if there's a lot of them. Yeah, I mean, again, my reason I am a little bothered by this game is it was a big game. Like, it was a big game. They really should have won this game, or they could have won this game had they come out really on their toes from moment one. You know what? And now Boston won. Obviously, Charlotte won. And lo and behold, the Knicks are in 11th place again. A half a game back of two teams that are in a tie for ninth. It's like at some point you got to make your push. I thought maybe we were seeing the Knicks push. I had dreams of like sweeping this homestand. Obviously, that's not going to happen. At this point, you'd probably take 2-2. Although I'd still love 3-1. But again, I keep referencing it. And I don't mean to be the harbinger of doom here, but the schedule is going to get really tough. So, next 3 games are really big. This game was big. Next 3 games are big. Dono Louis, regarding in-game adjustments, Evan can only shoot. Other than that, he's useless. I don't know about that. He put the ball on the floor. He doesn't do it enough. We see Julius take minutes from Obi even when he's playing like trash. Not specific to the game, but it's been a problem. I don't think Julius played like trash tonight. I think Julius had an average to slightly below average game, which was just like everybody else. And again, I may be in the minority, but to me, like, playing Obi 25 minutes tonight, wasn't. I don't know that was changing the outcome. I am remiss to point out that the bench's success in both the second quarter and the beginning of the fourth quarter, when, by the way, they couldn't score, came against the Hornets backups, and the Hornets are really thin. So, there is a massive difference between the Hornets starters and the Hornets backups. I do want to just throw that out there. Okay, I think that's it. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We're gonna keep it under 40 minutes today. Again, hope everybody has a happy rest of your holiday, and we will see you after the game tomorrow night against Minnesota, when hopefully I will have a more positive disposition. Peace out, everybody. Talk to you soon.